All rise. The Honorable Chief Aden Blakewell presiding.
Be seated. Let's proceed. Bailiff, what is the case number for the hearing today?
Today this is the State of California v. Dallas Carter, case number 20250300601.
Thank you. Bailiff. Now, who is representing the State of California in this matter?
Madison Pinelli, District Attorney for the City of Portofino, State of California, Your Honor.
Ms. Pinelli, thank you for your presence. Mr. Carter, I see that you are representing yourself. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. Mr. Carter, representing yourself in a case of this magnitude is a choice. But I caution you, this is not a game. You are facing serious charges, and you will be held to the same standards as any attorney in this courtroom. Now, Ms. Pinelli, you may proceed with your arguments regarding bail.
Your Honor, at this time the State recommends the defendant, Mr. Dallas Carter, remain in custody without bail. Mr. Carter has shown a direct and callous disregard for the safety and well-being of citizens of this community, especially that of the men and women of our police force. To allow Mr. Carter to post bail, Your Honor, would not only put everyone in this community in prospective danger but also give him the opportunity to leave, hence causing unpredictable and most probable aggressions in another community. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Pinelli, Aden said, his voice measured but unwavering. The State's concerns are clear, and I understand the severity of the situation. Mr. Carter, you've heard the State's argument. Do you have any statement to make regarding bail?
Your Honor, I stand before this court as the defendant, Dallas Carter, exercising my constitutional right to represent myself. The prosecution will no doubt present an image of me that suggests I am a danger to the community, but I ask this court to evaluate my request for bail based on the legal standards of fairness and the presumption of innocence. I am prepared to demonstrate that I do not pose a flight risk or an ongoing threat to public safety, and that reasonable conditions can be set to ensure my appearance at trial. Under the law, I remain innocent until proven guilty. The charges against me, while serious, have not yet been adjudicated. I am entitled to a fair and impartial assessment of whether bail should be granted. I have deep ties to this community. I have stable connections, including my residence and personal relationships that anchor me here. I did not attempt to flee upon my arrest, nor have I attempted to evade law enforcement. My willingness to remain in this jurisdiction and defend myself in court should weigh in favor of granting bail. The prosecution may argue that I pose a danger based on the allegations against me. However, my arrest was conducted without resistance. I complied with all officer commands, which is reflected in the arrest report. The mere existence of charges does not equate to a factual determination of guilt. If necessary, I am willing to abide by reasonable conditions, such as electronic monitoring, house arrest, or regular check-ins to alleviate any concerns about public safety. Denying me bail would significantly hinder my ability to prepare a competent legal defense. Access to legal resources, witness coordination, and case review are all impeded when a defendant remains incarcerated. My right to due process and a fair trial should not be compromised by unnecessary pretrial detention. If this court finds it necessary to impose restrictions, I am willing to adhere to any of the following reasonable conditions: electronic monitoring, house arrest, surrendering my passport, mandatory check-ins with law enforcement, and a reasonable bail amount proportionate to my financial situation. Your Honor, I respectfully request this court to grant bail under reasonable conditions that ensure my presence at trial while allowing me to properly exercise my right to defend myself. The law does not mandate pretrial incarceration without just cause, and I have presented ample reasons why bail should be granted in my case.
Ms. Pinelli, the defendant has made his case. Do you wish to add anything or provide a counter-argument? The decision on bail was never easy, but it would come down to the facts presented and the threat, or lack thereof, to the community.
Yes, Your Honor, the The state hears Mr. Carter's argument for the request for not bail, and while they would be fair to reasonable request when addressing charges of a lesser nature, the arguments he has made do not and under no circumstances assure or instill confidence that given the opportunity the defendant would offend again. Mr. Carter is responsible for his own situation. Mr. Carter has full access to the jail's library as well as monitored internet should he choose to use it in building of his own defense, Your Honor. The state stands firm, Your Honor, to release Mr. Carter with bail, no matter how high, sir, would be a direct and regrettable slap across the face to this community by putting them in imminent danger. Mr. Carter belongs behind bars, Your Honor, for all our safety's sake. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Carter then began, his tone unyielding. You've had the opportunity to present your argument. Do you have anything else to add before I make my ruling?
Your Honor, I've heard the state's argument, but I'd like to address something you might not be considering. What about my safety, Your Honor? The police used excessive force during my arrest. They didn't treat me like a human being. Flash bangs. The SRT, this wasn't just an arrest, it was an assault. They deployed flashbangs from an armored vehicle to disorient and confuse a suspect. I wasn't resisting. I complied with everything they asked, but Deputy Chief McDonnell and Chief Huntsman were there, and they made sure it was anything but a normal arrest. What they did was more than overkill. It was personal. And now they want to act like I'm the danger to the community? I'm not the one terrorizing people, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'll tell you this right now. They even tackled me to the ground, even though I was fully complying with their demands. I was cooperative, but they wanted me down. They wanted me to be the bad guy. His eyes narrowed as he continued. This whole thing, it's a setup. They didn't follow any of the evidence. They didn't care about the facts. They wanted me, and they made sure the scenario would fit me. So I'm asking you for a chance to defend myself. I'm not going to run. I've got nothing to hide. Hell, my house is probably safer than this jail cell, where those two could come back at me any time. I'm not the threat here, Your Honor, but I can't prove my innocence from behind these bars. So please, give me a chance to show you I'm not who they say I am.
Mr. Carter, I acknowledge your concerns regarding the manner in which your arrest was conducted. Excessive force and mistreatment during arrest are serious issues, and I encourage you to pursue them through the appropriate channels if you believe your rights were violated. The facts before this court do not change. The charges against you are grave, and your behavior following your arrest along with the nature of these charges raise serious concerns about your potential danger to the community. The state's concerns about you being a flight risk or a threat are not unfounded. As for your request to be granted bail, I do not take this lightly. After considering all factors, including the severity of the charges and the risk you pose to public safety, I find that the state's recommendation is justified. Bail is denied. Mr. Carter will remain in custody pending trial. This court will reconvene as scheduled. I trust that the defense will use the time to prepare your case accordingly.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead and stand up, Mr. Carter.
Let's get this over with.
This court is adjourned.